So then we look at why aren't we getting on the right path with renewables? Now, as Layla mentioned, Brown signed up to legally binding European targets for 20% of our energy, about 15% in the UK. So that's heat, transport and electricity to come from renewables by 2020. And that's meant to be legally binding and translates to around 40% of our electricity. But what they're doing in Brussels at the moment, and this is what's happening literally now over the next few months before this directive becomes law, is lobbying to make sure that CCS coal would count as renewable because it's low carbon, and nuclear would count as renewable. And because neither CCS nor nuclear is likely to happen before 2020, and these are 2020 targets, they want plants that are in the pipeline but not yet built to count. And because they want it to be flexible and low cost, they want you to be able to build projects outside of the European Union that would count towards EU targets. So you could potentially have a half-built CCS coal plant in China counting as a UK renewables project under the targets if they get their way. And they're lobbying really hard at the moment, and it's the UK that's leading the lobbying in Brussels to try and get the renewables strategy changed, which is they've been counting on. You might remember last year there was a really important leak that came out of the government, and it was a PowerPoint presentation that the Business Minister John Hutton was going to give to Brown at number 10. And we literally got hold of the PowerPoint presentation, and it said we've got to team up with the climate skeptic Polish and the nuclear French to take on the Germans. Literally, the language is take on the Germans to wreck the renewables targets, because they saw the renewables as a threat to nuclear plants in Britain. Because basically, even the nuclear industry accept that you can't have renewables and nuclear side by side, and because they know that we're right at the bottom of the European league table, just ahead of Malta. On renewables, we get about 2% of our electricity, or about 5% of our electricity from renewables, 2% of our energy, and we have to get to 15% by 2020. So they've been doing everything they can in the last few months to wreck renewables and say, well, look, we'll put our faith in nuclear and CCS coal for our energy security needs. Now what's happening is that it looks like they're not going to get their way on the renewables because of the rest of Europe standing up to the UK, basically. So they're going to have to deliver on the renewables target, which is great, although they're still trying to wreck it at every stage, as we see. And they're still putting their hope in nuclear and CCS coal. So the next few months are really critical.